So we're going to talk now about how to use the lexicon. The lexicon is a built-in vocabulary system within Past Perfect that is used to generate object names. The lexicon uses language from nomenclature for museum cataloging, which is a standardized universal system of language that is used to describe items in cultural collections. So across museums, the nomenclature is the term for the language itself. The lexicon is the term for how the nomenclature is used within Past Perfect. So you're going to use the lexicon to generate that object name when you're creating a catalog record. So in order to talk about how to do this, we first need to navigate to an accession or a loan record and scroll down and start a new catalog record. I'm not going to talk through this because we've discussed how to get here in other videos. If you're unsure about how to do this, or if you haven't watched those videos, go ahead and click one. Best one to click is starting a new catalog record. So I'll just click the first one. I'm here now, so I'll click edit, scroll down to catalog records. Add a new catalog record. Okay, so we've been here before, we're familiar with what this is. We're going to ignore everything else on the page right now and just go to object name. So there's two ways that you can do this. Once you're familiar with the lexicon, it'll be easy to just type something in here and see if what you're looking for comes up. We're not going to do that quite yet. When you're first getting used to the lexicon and you're not quite sure what your options are, it makes more sense to use the search function. So the way the nomenclature works is by using a hierarchical system of categorizing. So your most general classification term is the category. The lexicon has 11 different categories: built environment objects, furnishings, personal objects, tools and equipment for materials, tools and equipment for science and technology, tools and equipment for communication, distribution and transportation objects, communication objects, recreational objects, unclassifiable objects, and natural history. Sounds like a lot, especially if when you look down here, you see we have almost 1,500 different options, but there are lots of easy ways to narrow this down. The next more specific term of classification is going to be classification. So those are terms that exist within the category. So once you've selected a category, that's going to be the next way to specify a little closer to what it is that you're trying to describe. Then below that, we have subclassification, then primary, secondary, and tertiary. What we're trying to do is be as specific as possible. We're really trying to generate a name that is more towards the primary and secondary descriptor side of things. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense, for example, if I'm trying to catalog a shirt, I'm trying to generate an object name for a shirt. I wouldn't just select clothing, right? I want to try to find clothing, outerwear, shirt. If there's something that's more descriptive, like shirt, uniform, and I'm trying to catalog a shirt that is part of a uniform, then that's going to make a little bit more sense. But we're really just trying to get as specific as possible. So there's really two ways to go about finding what you're looking for. One is to just use the search function without applying any filters. If you feel like what you're looking for is hyper specific, there's not going to be a lot of different object names or different words using the term you're looking for, then you can just type that in and not use filters. If you're looking for something that is really generalized or common, like book, we can see this generates 74 different options. Then we're going to want to use some filters. So this will allow you to filter down as far as the subclassification. So let's see if we can get a little bit of a filter as to the type of book that we're looking for. I'm going to type in book. And let's say I'm looking for a prayer book. So I know that the best place to find prayer books is in communication objects, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I might be proved wrong. And now that I've selected communication objects as my category, it's going to ask me, okay, what classification of communication objects? Advertising media, art, ceremonial objects, documentary objects, exchange media, or personal symbols. So we're really going to use best judgment here. The thing that makes the most sense to me here is ceremonial object, so I'll give that a try. So now I selected the classification. Okay, so now it's going to ask us what is the subclassification. Funerary objects, holiday objects, organizational objects, party accessories, religious objects, or wedding objects. Now, to be clear, what comes up in the classification drop-down menu and in the subclassification drop-down menu will depend on what you've selected for the one before it. So if I had selected built environment objects, I'm going to get different options here under classification. All right, let's go back to communication objects. And I said ceremonial objects. Let's go with organizational objects. So we filled out all of our filters here. You don't have to fill out all 3 of them. I could have stopped at category if I wanted to. If I wasn't sure which classification made the most sense or which subclassification made the most sense, I could just stop at category or stop at classification. So we're going to click apply. I didn't find what I'm looking for. Okay, maybe we got a little more too specific. So I'm going to reset the filters. And I'm going to stop at ceremonial objects. Let's try that. So this has actually given me, I forgot to type in book. There we go. Click apply. Now this has given me exactly what I'm looking for. Book, comma, prayer. And this is getting really specific, right? This is giving me all the way down to a secondary classification. Now, the most specific that it gets is going to be the object name. It tells me over here, this is what's going to show up as the object name. Does that feel, so a good gut check here is to ask yourself, does that feel like a good succinct descriptor of what it is that I'm trying to categorize? This is a prayer book, so yes, that feels good to me. Let's try another one. Let's say I'm trying to find, I'm trying to catalog, like we were saying earlier, a shirt from a uniform. So I'm looking for a shirt. I want to reset these filters. I'm looking for personal objects. See how specific we can get just by clicking the category. Okay, that's a lot of options. Here we go. 16 options. Good. So I don't see it on this first page here, so I'll click over to page 2. And I don't see it here. So that tells me that personal objects was the wrong category. We can try communication objects, and really you just click around until you find it. The more you catalog, the more you're going to become comfortable with the different options that are within each of these categories. But once you've found what it is that you're looking for, so we'll go back to book. Ceremonial objects, there we go. Oop, that's the wrong one. Okay, so we'll go back to the one that we know works here. If I were to select this, I would simply double click it and it would auto fill in here. And we've talked about how to do the rest. And that's it. The museum does own a physical copy of the nomenclature book. So if you want to become more comfortable with the language that's in there, or you feel a little unclear about that hierarchical category system, you can always use that book and it will walk you through what it is that you might be looking for in a way that's a little bit more descriptive than how the lexicon works on here.